Yo, what's up, Coolers, and welcome back to the channel once again, guys, for a full Barca news roundup. As we shall be looking at the official unveiling of Hansi Flick as the Barca manager, as well as big news on the transfer front, as there is an update on the futures of Nico Williams and Dani Olmo, because PSG apparently have entered into the race for Nico Williams' signature. But there is also an update on the situation of Vitor Roque. So sit back, relax, guys, and let's get straight to it. So Thursday was a big day in Barcelona because the new manager Hansi Flick took charge of his first game in charge of the club. It was a behind closed doors friendly game against Segunda B side Ulot, which Barca ultimately ran out 1-0 winners in the end, courtesy of a goal by Pablo Torre. It was said to be a very impressive performance from Barca, despite the fact that the scoreline suggested otherwise. But one major positive that was taken out of this game was the return to action of young left back Alejandro Balde, who has been out for the last 6 months after sustaining an injury last season. But before the game even took place in the evening, earlier in the day, a more notable event took place, and it was the unveiling of Hansi Flick as the Barca manager. He was accompanied by President Joan Laporta, and they addressed the press with a range of topics that were discussed with the members of the press. And President Laporta, speaking just before Hansi Flick spoke, he had some very interesting words to say. He said that Hansi Flick is the ideal person to be in charge due to his love of hard work, discipline, and his confidence in the club's philosophy. He is the right person to take us forward and face up to the most immediate challenges. He will do so with conviction, determination, and a newfound energy. We could clearly see from Laporta's words that he has a lot of confidence in the ability of Hansi Flick to instill discipline and fight into this Barca team, because of course it was becoming very clear that Barca needed a change. Barca needed to demand more from themselves. They needed to work extra harder, and Laporta clearly believes that Hansi Flick is the right man to deliver just that for him and the club this season. And it is interesting because Hansi Flick has taken his time here before addressing the media in his first official press conference. Mind you, he took over as first team manager about 2 months ago, and he had not officially addressed the media until this moment in time, because he spoke to Barca One last week, but that was just a chit chat that just reviewed a few things. He didn't just rush into meeting the press and having that unveiling. He wanted to take his time, and from the answers he gave when some key questions were asked during this press conference and unveiling, you would tell that Hansi Flick really wanted to be ready for this moment when he would address the media. And he said while speaking to the media that it was even surprising for him because Barca felt even bigger than he had imagined before coming into the club. And coming into the club, he realized that the club was even bigger than he had imagined. And when the press asked him certain questions concerning his objectives for the new season, Hansi Flick didn't just rush in promising heaven and earth and saying that he was going to do this, he was going to do that. He was very smart in his responses, and what he said was that it is important for us to work hard before we speak about objectives. This club always wants to play for titles, and this is why I am here and why the fans love the club. We will work hard. Give me a few more weeks and then maybe I can answer that. So clearly Flick was not trying to do so much talking and less action. You can tell from his words that Flick is all about the work. He is all about the action. He believes that when you put in the necessary work that is required to achieve big things in European football, naturally the success should come. So he is saying clearly here that Barca would first of all focus on working hard and then see the possibilities that the hard work is going to offer the team going forward. So I really like this approach from Flick, because he is not promising the world, even if the ambition is quite clearly there, but it is quite important to do than to just say. And I really like this approach that Flick has taken. And Flick, while still speaking in that press conference, he still proceeded to speak about Masia once again. We have seen that at every given opportunity, Flick does not shy away from giving praise to the youth team. And I know he has not spoken much to the press since he joined the club, but in the few times where he has spoken, he has never shied away from giving praises to the youth team. And he had this to say once again. He said, the whole world is looking towards La Masia because of the fantastic work they are doing with the young players. And now I have seen it for myself. Of course, they can all still improve, but the foundations are fantastic. So clearly, Flick is impressed with what he has been seeing from the youngsters in training. And even though he is not trying to say that they are the finished product just yet, he was clearly referring to the fact that the foundations are clearly there, the basics are there. They just have to hone their skills further, improve and become the finished article. But clearly, the concepts and the foundations are already well in place to have key members of the first team. And we know that Flick is a manager who is definitely going to look a lot towards La Masia, because from all he has been saying since he took charge of the club, it is clear to see that he is a manager that has a lot of confidence in the club's philosophy of betting on the youth. And we are most likely going to see more youth players coming into the first team in the Hansi Flick era in Barcelona. And speaking of La Masia products, Flick had a few words to say about the golden boy and the shining light of Barça and Spanish football at the moment, in the person of Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal has been getting a lot of praises and rave reviews for his performances, not just last season but also during this summer when he helped Spain to win their 4th Euro championship. And Flick had a few words for Lamine Yamal. He said he is doing an incredible job and he continues to grow step by step. What he did at the Euros was unbelievable, but now he must keep going and keep both feet on the ground. Even he can improve, but he is a great guy. I've spoken a lot with him already. So this is Flick saying that regardless of all the praise that you have been getting, you have been playing well, you still need to keep your foot on the ground. So it is clear here that Flick is not one to rest on his laurels, not one to say, okay, because I have done this, I have done that, it's now time for me to relax, or because I have arrived, I am now a big boy, I am now a big star in world football. No, the hard work continues, and this is the message that Flick is clearly trying to send out here. But now, what about Ansu Fati? Unfortunately, it was reported on Wednesday that he has sustained a foot injury in training. And as it looks at the moment, he is definitely not going to be flying out with the team to the USA when they go on the US tour. And we've also heard that Ansu Fati has been one of the most impressive players in Barça training since Hansi Flick took over. And this was really devastating, because just when it seemed that Fati was beginning to get his groove back and looking like he was going to get a place and a chance to prove himself in the team, injury strikes once again. And I know a lot of you would say that we have been here before, he cannot just get rid of the injury problems, we should move on from him and all of that. But Hansi Flick said some interesting words when speaking about Ansu Fati during his press conference. He also said that during the first days that I've had here, he was unbelievable. His fitness at the top level, and you could see it out on the pitch. It's a pity that he is injured, but now we have to accept it. Ansu plays as a left winger, but he can also play as the number 9. My technical team is working specifically with him. We will help him to come back stronger for sure. And these are really encouraging words on Ansu Fati's part, because clearly the manager, it was said that when that injury occurred in training, Hansi Flick went immediately to Ansu Fati and he assured him that he was still counting on him for next season, telling him that it's just an injury, it's not the end of the world, and he should focus on his recovery, and when he comes back, he is still going to have a chance to lay a claim to a place in the team. So these are really encouraging words for Ansu Fati. He is said to be out for between 3 to 8 weeks depending on his recovery, and he is likely to miss the beginning of the season. But Hansi Flick also addressed some other topics during the press conference when he was asked about the much talked about pivot situation in Barcelona at the moment. He said that at the moment I am very happy with what I'm seeing in training. I believe that we already have players in our team who can play there very well. And these are big and interesting words from Hansi Flick, because before the opening of the transfer window, there was a lot of talk that Barca's target for next season would be a left winger and a pivot. But now, could these words from Hansi Flick, because these are really big words, saying that at the moment he thinks we have players in our team that can play very well in that pivot position, could it now signal why it seems like Barca's transfer objectives have changed this summer? Because speaking about transfers, President Joan Laporta had these words to say during the press conference and presentation of Hansi Flick as well. He said that our economic situation is much better than it was. We are on our way back to normality. Today, Barcelona can handle the signings of the size that you are talking about, because we did the work and we made a great effort to achieve this. He went further to say that, I want to thank the fans for their understanding and patience. We were able to work. And today, we can say that we are in a position to face any operation that we believe is necessary in the market. So, these words from Joan Laporta clearly signal that Barca are now closed, because I know the paperwork with La Liga still needs to be sorted, and the official announcement of that return to the much talked about 1-for-1 rule still has to be completed. But this is not the first time that Laporta has openly come out to confidently say that Barca are back when it comes to competing in the transfer market. And Barca genuinely, right now, apparently, they genuinely believe that they are going to be able to pull off the signings of not just Nico Williams this summer, but also his Spain teammate Dani Olmo. So right now, there is a realistic belief, there is a serious belief coming out from the club and the media that Barca could actually pull off both operations. And we heard that on Wednesday, Deco did that follow-up meeting with the agent of Dani Olmo. Of course, the offer on personal terms is already on the table, but now that meeting was also followed up by a bid, an actual bid to his club RB Leipzig. It is reported that Barca have offered Leipzig a deal of 40 million euros with a potential 20 million euros in add-ons for the services of Dani Olmo. But I have to add that that bid was outrightly rejected. But let me break it down for you guys, because the 40 million euros, which is the upfront of that offer to Leipzig, is said to be a yearly installment of 4 years for the 40 million euros, which means that Leipzig, even this summer, they would not even be entitled to any fee for the transfer of Dani Olmo. That implies that the payment is going to start from January 2025, and then there will be another payment in 2026, there will be another one in 2027, and then there will be the last one in 2028. And then the variables of 20 million euros in add-ons. The first 10 million will be paid if Barca are able to win La Liga twice in the next 5 years. And then the second part of that 20 million is going to be paid if Barca also manage to win the Champions League twice in the next 5 years. So clearly you can see why this offer has been flatly rejected by Leipzig. But regardless of strong interest from Bayern Munich and Manchester City, we have heard that Dani Olmo has halted all negotiations with any other club because apparently he only wants Barca. But with this first bid out of the way, I know for sure that that could just be the first bid to test the waters from Barca to Leipzig. Barca would definitely be coming back with yet another bid for the services of Dani Olmo. So this is one to pay close attention to here, because clearly the player wants to make that return back to his boyhood club, and Leipzig, they will not stand in his way. But clearly this offer, for me personally, it is laughable, but I just feel like Barca are just testing the waters here. They are definitely going to be back with a much more improved and better bid for Dani Olmo. But now, how about Nico Williams? Because Barca have apparently reached an agreement on personal terms with his agent. The only thing missing right now is the final okay from Nico Williams, which hopefully is going to come soon. And I know a lot of you right now are wondering, is it going to come? What's going on? Why is it taking so long? But this is the transfer market and patience sometimes is required. But earlier on Friday, there has been a twist in the Nico Williams to Barca story, because apparently our good old friend PSG have shown their faces once again when Barca are looking to sign a player. It is said that PSG are willing to offer Nico Williams double the wages that are going to be on offer at Barcelona. And I know a lot of you would also say that we have been here so many times. PSG are here again with their money to mess up transfer dealings for Barca. We can remember the instances of Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, Jorginho Wijnaldum, just to name a few, that PSG have hijacked from Barca by offering higher wages for these players. But my honest opinion on this is that apparently that agreement on personal terms with his agent has already been sealed. And it is clear, because all the noises we have been hearing from the Spanish media are that Nico either wants to remain at Athletic Club or remains in La Liga. In this case, join Barcelona. So for me, I really think that this interest from PSG at this point is very much irrelevant. And I feel that Nico is going to join Barca this summer. And Gerard Romero of Gigantes, he had something to say after the news of that agreement with his agent on personal terms broke out. He said that he was not going to make a comment concerning those reports that Barca have reached an agreement with the agent of Nico Williams for the transfer of the player to Barca this summer, and he was not going to comment on that out of respect for the wishes and desires of the player. But then again, he said he was just going to pick his jotter and write a note, and then he left it to us to make of it what we wanted. But once again, I want to reiterate that personally, I believe that Nico Williams has made that decision to join Barca this summer, because during the week he moved back to the city of Bilbao, but he didn't even stay long. He just spent a day, and after packing his bags, he jetted off to holidays in Marbella with none other than Lamine Yamal. And I know this doesn't guarantee that he is going to be a Barca player from next season, but it is very clear that Nico has a strong connection with Barca players. You can also see when he comments on other posts on social media involving Barca players, you can see and you can tell that Nico has strong fondness and connection for these Barca players. It's almost as if he feels part of the family, and clearly it is looking like that move is going to happen this summer. But we have always spoken in previous videos that Barca would definitely need to make a sale in order to make this deal happen. But what we are hearing in the last 24 hours in the media is that one player who could be sold to fund those summer transfers that Barca have been talking about is the Brazilian prodigy Vitor Roque. It is said that Saudi Arabian giants Al-Hilal are very much interested in signing Vitor Roque from Barca this summer. It is said that Barca would be looking for a permanent move as opposed to a loan move for Vitor Roque, in a statement which indicates that Barca definitely have lost hope that the Brazilian is going to be a success at the club. Remember last summer, Barca reached an agreement with his club in Brazil, Atlético Paranaense, for a fee of 30 million euros plus a potential 31 million euros in add-ons. Now, with the performances he has put in so far, and I know he has had a lot of lack of action during his short time in Barca so far, clearly none of those add-ons has been met. But it is said that Barca would be looking to make a profit on their original investment of 30 million euros on the player. Now, the fee we are hearing is that Barca would be looking to recoup as much as 40 million euros from Al-Hilal should they sell Vitor Roque this summer. Roque, clearly it is so sad to see him in this situation, because he has clearly not been given an opportunity by the club. It has been a difficult few months for him since he made that move from Brazil to Barca. But if he joins Al-Hilal, he would definitely be in the presence of some familiar faces, because his compatriot Neymar is currently in Al-Hilal, and another former Barca star in the person of Malcolm is also a player of Al-Hilal. And speaking of Malcolm, this is clearly a similar situation, because I can't help to remember how badly Malcolm was treated when he joined Barca from Bordeaux. He barely had any opportunities to prove himself in that sole season at the Camp Nou, and he was shipped off almost immediately to Zenit, and now he has ended up in the Saudi Pro League. And now, if this is the same treatment that we are dishing out to a 19-year-old Vitor Roque, then this says a lot about Barca's handling of youngsters. Barca have made a mess of this situation, because if you are shipping him out after just barely 6 months at the club, then it makes me wonder, what plans did Barca even have for this player in the first place? Why did we sign Vitor Roque? Mind you, he was supposed to come in this summer, but we accelerated his arrival to make sure he joined in January. So for a player who you clearly do not have much faith in, why was that move taken to fast track his move only to just frustrate him like this? So it is really unfortunate. I have to say that I feel really bad for Vitor Roque. The way his situation has been handled, I feel really terrible that he has had to go through this. But then again, it is not a guarantee that this interest is going to materialize in a move, because Roque, mind you, he has a contract until 2031. So of course he can also say that, fuck it, I'm not going anywhere. Whether you like it or not, I want to stay at Barca, and that is what I'm going to do. Of course, he has that option because he has a contract. But then again, with the way it's looking at the moment, it seems like the club are clearly forcing him out. And I'm also wondering that, where does Flick come in all of this? Because apparently it looks as if Hansi Flick's hands are tied. It seems like a club decision that has been made to offload the young Brazilian out of the club. And this is really sad to see this story ending up like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. What do you make of the first impressions of Hansi Flick during his first official press conference as the Barca manager? What do you make of that offer that Barca have made to Leipzig for the services of Dani Olmo? And do you also share my optimism that Nico Williams is going to be a Barca player this summer? Let me know your thoughts on what you think about the club's handling of the Vitor Roque situation. If you enjoyed this video, please do give this video a thumbs up, turn on your notification bell so that whenever I drop on the channel, you shall be notified. And most importantly, please do not forget to smash that subscribe button. You don't have to, just kidding. But if you do that, thank you. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça, and I'll see you on the next video. Adios.